On Sunday Night Football this Sunday, the 6-9 football team will be taking on the 4-10-1 Eagles with the NFC East Division crown on the line. The fact that they are 6-9 and playing for the division title is incredibly pathetic to think about and speaks volumes to how bad the NFC East has been this year. But the football team has surprised a lot of people. The emergence of Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, second-year wide receiver, stepping up after his incredible rookie campaign. He is likely not going to be active Sunday night, week 17, because he has a high ankle sprain that he suffered against Seattle. And Gibson and McLaurin have basically been that entire offense all year. I know they beat Pittsburgh. Listen, Alex Smith is not a good quarterback anymore. He has not been good by any means. I think we can all appreciate the story and the hard work and the exceptional work from the medical staff that has looked after Alex Smith, that's gone into reconstructing his leg after 17 surgeries. He is the comeback player of the year. We've known this since before he took a snap. He has not been good by any means, but this football team has been carried by Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, and their defense has stepped up big time this year, and they are going to be fighting for the division title Sunday night, which I think if you went back to the beginning of the season, nobody could have told you that the last Sunday night football matchup, week 17, when they schedule all the division opponents together, that the quarterback matchup could potentially be Taylor Heineke versus Jalen Hurts. Now, they just released Dwayne Haskins. This is because there has been a plethora of off-the-field and on-the-field issues that have plagued the football team and Haskins himself. He was seen partying with strippers after they lost to the Seahawks last week. No masks on or anything. And that's a really bad look considering Rivera just got done dealing with cancer. So he is a part of the high-risk group, and Haskins would have never heard the end of it if he were to somehow infect Rivera. So let's go back to 2018 when Dwayne Haskins really came onto the scene after J.T. Barrett was no longer the quarterback at Ohio State. Dwayne Haskins took over as the starter. He completed 70% of his passes for 4,831 yards, 50 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Now, looking back in hindsight, we can say that, he had an amazing supporting cast. He was really not that good. But the thing is, at college in Ohio State, he was good, but he was just way too talented to let it go to waste on the field. Plus, when you have a supporting cast like Ohio State's, when you're playing with 4 or 5-star recruits up and down the roster, it's really hard to be bad. I mean, I'm not saying that 50 touchdowns and 8 interceptions is nothing, but I guess we can look back now and say his supporting cast elevated him, and maybe he wasn't as good as we thought he was. But to be compared in the same sentence to Johnny Manziel, we have literally never seen a quarterback phased out this hard, tank his career this hard since Johnny Manziel did in 2015. And that 2019 QB class, besides the first one who was taken, Kyler Murray, looks really bad right now. Think of Jones, Haskins, Locke, and probably some other guys that I'm blanking on and can't think about right now off the top of my head. So Haskins' rookie year, the football team was horrible. This ended up getting them the 2nd overall pick. Now, if we knew everything we knew about Haskins, they probably do not take Chase Young here. If we knew everything we knew now, they'd probably take Herbert. But the important thing is that Ron Rivera was never sold that Haskins was the guy. Personally, I would have definitely chosen Haskins over bringing in Kyle Allen, who was absolutely horrible last year. But, it's Ron Rivera's team. He was going to bring in his guy no matter what. And he had literally zero say or part in drafting Dwayne Haskins to be the Washington team QB of the future. The thing about Haskins is I guess he could just never really wrap around his head around the time and effort and energy and leadership capabilities that it takes to be an NFL quarterback. Because we had already heard last year that he was, late showing up to meetings, lying to the coaches, up way too late, out way too late in DMV. And I feel bad for the guy because he is from the DC metro area. I don't know if he's from Virginia or Maryland off the top of my head. But to be drafted in a region where you grew up around football all your life, that was probably a big deal to him. Now, I don't feel bad for him in the fact that he couldn't wrap his head around it because partying with strippers, not knowing the playbook, getting replaced by Taylor Heineke and the ghost of Alex Smith is incredibly pathetic to think about. And it's not like he had literally no weapons either. Sims has showed out a few games. Gibson's been really good this year. McLaurin has been amazing this year, and the football team's defense has really stepped up, and a big reason why they are playing for the division title. So it's not like he's Joe Burrow, where his O-line just left him out to die, or he's Justin Herbert, where the defense and special teams just cannot get their shit together for whatever reason. Last week, after his incident partying with the strippers, he was fined $40K, and he lost his captaincy as well. And Ryan Leaf came out and said that Dwayne Haskins reminds me of myself. That is not something you want to hear of one of the biggest draft busts of all time. You never want that guy to come out and mention from his own breath and his own words saying that he reminds you of yourself. We've known for a very, very long time that the Washington football team is an absolute train wreck and dumpster fire of a football organization, considering what Dan Snyder has pulled, that Redskins fans are apathetic now. And it sounds like Jay Gruden, who was the offensive coordinator of Washington at the time they drafted Haskins, wanted literally nothing to do with him. And I'm not going to say he's right or wrong for that, because we now know that he's not a very good offensive coordinator from his time at Jacksonville this year and his multiple previous failures the year before with Washington. But the same thing happened with Dan Snyder and RG3. Apparently, Mike Shanahan wanted literally nothing to do with that guy. Apparently, Mike Shanahan, who's the best coach of all time for my favorite team, the Denver Broncos, he wanted the scrubs later in the draft like Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins. And I'm not going to say they should have done something crazy like taking Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson second overall, because yes, it would have been worth it, but at the time it would have been seen as a gigantic reach. And the haul they gave up for RG3 was pretty bad. I mean, it was worth it in the sense that in his rookie year, he was amazing. But after that, he ended up getting hurt, and that's why he ended up being a gigantic bust. Not to mention, he was a victim of the terrible turf at FedEx Field in Washington, along with Joe Burrow, Joe Theismann, Alex Smith, and all the other guys. And RG3 was electric his rookie year, and you could attribute his injuries to his obnoxious play style, because he was a quarterback yet ran like he was Marshawn Lynch. And full disclosure, while I was doing research in this video, I just found out that Haskins was a Giants fan not growing up, not a Washington or Ravens fan, but the point still stands that when you grow up in that region, you probably want to make everyone proud. But stuff like this situation proves why Washington will literally never win with Dan Snyder as an owner. And this is probably going to make people look back at the 2019 NFL draft and say, oh, they shouldn't have taken him at 15. The thing is, yes, they should have, because he was a really good quarterback at Ohio State, and we didn't think that he would suffer a Johnny Manziel-like collapse. He was very talented. Like I said, he was a very good quarterback, but one of the biggest parts about coming to the NFL is learning the game, learning the playbook, making all the right reads, and it really doesn't help you or your team or your organization or yourself when you are partying with strippers instead of helping a team that is one game away from winning a division title clinch that crown and clinch the 4th seed in the playoffs. And if you remember, the Giants were the laughingstock of the NFL in April and May 2019 for taking Daniel Jones over Dwayne Haskins. Now it looks like both those picks would have absolutely sucked. Maybe since Haskins grew up as a Giants fan, maybe he could put a little more effort and energy into becoming the franchise quarterback of the Giants, because we all know he had the talent. And Pat Shurmur definitely would have helped him in that regard. But it turns out both these guys as picks were absolutely terrible. The Giants probably should have taken Josh Allen instead at 6th overall in 2019. And I'm not going to say who Washington should have taken, because I don't know who was on their board and who wasn't. But the Haskins pick just didn't work out. And at the time, we all thought it was a fall. But teams that needed a quarterback, like the Giants, Broncos, and Bengals, all passed on him. I don't know who can turn him around. I hope this guy turns his career around, because going from that prowess of a prospect into rock bottom is definitely probably not easy to handle. We all can't feel bad for the guy, because at the end of the day, it was his decision. He was the one who ended up screwing it up. But at the end of the day, these guys are human. And I definitely would have preferred Dwayne Haskins to be successful, considering the fact that the NFL is always going to force us to watch the NFC East on primetime. So I would much rather these guys be good rather than just get absolutely stomped. Now, he's been cut by the football team, so he is going to be on waivers. I could see a team that had a high grade on him coming out of Ohio State, taking a flyer on him and saying, okay, maybe we could try to turn him around, but at the end of the day, it's going to be up to him himself to get his life together and turn it around. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're not already, follow me on Twitter, link is in the description below. Anyways guys, have a good day, and peace out.